Hansel and Gretel's Magical Adventure. Hansel and Gretel lived with their father and wicked stepmother in a tiny, humble cottage on the edge of a dense, dark forest. Life was hard, and food was scarce. The stepmother, driven by greed and spite, convinced their father to abandon Hansel and Gretel in the forest. Desperation and fear clouded his judgment. Hansel, always alert, overheard the sinister plan. Determined to protect his sister, he collected shiny white pebbles, hoping to leave a trail back home. When they were left alone in the forest, Hansel's clever plan worked. They followed the glistening pebble trail under the moonlight, eventually finding their way back home. The stepmother, enraged by their return, insisted on abandoning them again, this time deeper in the forest. Her cruelty knew no bounds, and their father reluctantly agreed. Hansel, determined to leave another trail, goes to gather white pebbles but finds none. In a desperate attempt, he uses breadcrumbs instead, hoping they will lead them back home. As they venture deeper into the forest, Hansel drops breadcrumbs along the way. Unbeknownst to him, birds eagerly follow, consuming the crumbs and erasing their only hope of navigation. Lost and frightened, Hansel and Gretel wander aimlessly through the dense forest. Just when despair begins to set in, they stumble upon a house made entirely of candy and gingerbread. Unable to resist the temptation, they start nibbling on the delicious exterior. A seemingly kind old woman appears and invites them inside, offering warmth and shelter. Once inside, the old woman reveals her true nature as a wicked witch. She traps Hansel in a cage and forces Gretel to do chores, plotting to fatten and eat them. The old woman's demeanor changes abruptly as she reveals herself to be a wicked witch. She traps Hansel in a cage and forces Gretel to do chores around the house. Hansel is given only scraps to eat, while the witch plans to fatten him up. Gretel, meanwhile, is tasked with cleaning, cooking, and other menial jobs, growing increasingly worried. Using her wits, Gretel tricks the witch into believing Hansel isn't fat enough to eat. She cleverly advises the witch to wait a little longer, buying them more time. The witch, growing impatient and hungry, decides to eat Gretel too. She orders Gretel to prepare the oven, intending to cook her immediately without further delay. Seizing the moment, Gretel outsmarts the witch by pretending she doesn't know how to check the oven. When the witch demonstrates, Gretel shoves her in and locks the door. Hansel and Gretel, guided by the sun and stars, navigate their way through the dense forest. Their determination is fueled by the desire to reunite with their father and escape the witch's nightmare. When they finally reach their tiny cottage, their father's eyes well up with tears of joy and regret. He embraces them tightly, vowing never to let them go again, cherishing their return. Their wicked stepmother is nowhere to be found, having either left or passed away. The air feels lighter without her presence, and a sense of peace begins to settle over their home. With the witch's treasure in hand, Hansel and Gretel transform their humble abode. They share their newfound wealth, ensuring that their family will never want for anything again, creating a life of comfort and joy. Their harrowing journey teaches them invaluable lessons. They understand the importance of bravery, cleverness, and unwavering support for one another. Together, they face any challenges that come their way, united and strong.